Welcome to Business Amplified with host Kevin A. Dunlap.
This podcast is for small business owners aiming to amplify their enterprises.
Explore strategies to play a bigger game by becoming an author, public speaker, podcast host, or expanding your brand in other ways.
Elevate your business on Business Amplified.
Hello, everybody. This is Kevin Dunlap with Business Amplified, and thank you for joining us today. Now, we've got a gentleman who I just met a couple of days ago. He's from Saudi Arabia, and he's got some very great insights that I think will be great for you viewers and also the listeners out there. So I want to go ahead and welcome to the show, Emad. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me in the show.
So, Emad, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? What is that you do? And why is it that you do what you do?
So currently, I am a clarity coach working with overwhelmed and confused startup entrepreneurs, mainly those who are transitioning from their professional work to become an entrepreneurs. That wasn't my intention when I started, but later on, I changed my mind. I said, like, that's what I'm after, and that's what I want to share with people, is that making that transition from corporate world to become an entrepreneur, there is certain requirements that are needed, and that's what I really love to share.
So, what have you found are those requirements? You know, what is it that somebody that's trying to make the mindset shift from, working in the corporate world to possibly starting their own business? What are some of the things that you've noticed that they need to go through?
There are a few things that I went through myself, and then through my work with people, I found the pattern, which is this: take a risk. It came a lot of time where people leave their work, leave their corporate world, and just dive into the entrepreneurship journey, not knowing that they will need time, they will need effort, they will need money. This is number one. Actually, that's what they need. But more importantly, they need more than what they think they need. So even those who think they need time, money, and effort, that's not enough. You need more than that. So prepare for more money, more effort, more time, and a little bit even more.
And I do see that myself, is that, obviously it's not going to be an overnight success. Most likely, I would assume you would agree with this, is that when they're making that shift, they're probably still working the corporate job that as they're trying to make that transition. So that transition could take a lot more time, because they can only maybe put 10, 15, 20 hours a week into their new business.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. This is something I was kind of confused about, because when I started to learn about entrepreneurship, so before I started my journey, what I call entrepreneurship, I started just for personal needs, personal desire to change my life, to fulfill my needs, to fulfill my desires. And then later on, when I learned about entrepreneurship, the first thing I learned is take risk. And then I got confused where, what does that even imply? So I left my job, and then I started my entrepreneurship journey, and then I went back to work again. So I was confused about it until I came to the conclusion where you have to make the transition slowly.
And I'm so very glad that you say that, because a lot of people think it's night or day. I have to work a job or I'm going to be self-employed. I have to work a job, I have to be self-employed. They don't realize that they can do the same thing at the same time. And one of the things that I often I speak about is that when you're making that transition into entrepreneurship, when you are making equal to or more money on your let's call it side hustle, or your own business, that when you're making equal to or more than what you're making at your regular job, then you can start making the decision as what to do next. Do you quit your job? Do you cut back on the hours, or do you still work both of them? Because One of the things I frequently say is, if you're working your own business and you're 6 months away from retirement, quitting your job is the stupidest thing that you could ever do. Go ahead and retire. Get that steady income coming in. But the thing is, once you realize that your business is actually a successful idea, then you can make that conscious decision as to what to do next. Would you agree with that, Iman?
Definitely, I agree 100%. And actually, let me tell you what's a beauty about that is that when you are working and you make that transition to entrepreneurship slowly, you already have money coming in. So that means even if you made the wrong decisions, the wrong investment, it's not a big deal. It's not, you will not be stressed that much because you already have that income coming in. That gives you more space to make more decisions. And the more decisions you make, the better your future decisions will be.
So, tell us a little bit about the people that you work with. Who is your ideal client, or who are these people that you tend to be working with?
I tend to work with people who already made the decision. Now we are in the corporate world. Now we want to make that transition to entrepreneurship. But what should we do? What should we look at? So we are confused. We are overwhelmed about the information. We have different information from different sources, conflicted information. What should we do? And my job is just to give them the big picture of what does being entrepreneur means. Not just to you, the entrepreneurship journey, you have to understand it. You have to understand, number one, the investment, the money you will have to put in, because not every investment will be correct. Not every investment will have a return. You will have to understand the time you will need. How about your mindset? How about your skill set? How about your emotions? I paint a picture for them to make them see the journey before even started. Some make the decision, yes, we are interested, we are passionate, we are enthusiastic, we want to start the journey. Some will say, we need just to wait a little bit. And some make the decision to have small business and still have their job. And that's my preference. Have the job and have a small business, and you're good to go, because then you have multiple sources of income. So
Well, and I'm glad that you're saying that, because a lot of, again, I already said this, that a lot of people think it's night or day, that they have one or the other. But the thing is, by starting small, go ahead and create that proof of concept. And then once you have that proof of concept, then you can build and grow on that. And then at that point, you can phase out your corporate job.
yeah, it's definitely, and also it's my belief that to understand the journey before you started, the journey is not really difficult, not really hard. Because when you understand it, it becomes predictable. And when something becomes predictable, you become certain. And when you are certain, you have less stress, you have less pressure. Now you are relaxed, you can think critically and you can think logically. And that's the thing you need in entrepreneurships. You don't need to think emotionally, you need to think logically and strategically.
Okay. Well, one of the things that I've learned over my 20 years of being self-employed is that there's a saying that I've heard over and over again, is that a true entrepreneur is willing to work 80 hours a week, or twice the hours a week as a regular employee, to make half the money. And that's
Yeah.
and that's going to be true at the very beginning, because when you're building your business, there's going to be, especially in the very beginning, there's going to be a lot of time, a lot of energy that you're going to be putting into that business, where you may not have profits yet, because you're still trying to figure out how to, number one, find the clients, but also number two, how you're going to serve those clients.
Yeah, it's in the beginning, you will need definitely more time than the time you will need later. And what I found with people is really what they're struggling with is two things. Number one is how to find the right client. How can I reach this client? And number two, how to sell them. That's where the time will go in the beginning, to get that visibility and to make that conversion. This is the right client. Now I need to sell them.
So let me ask you this, because a lot of new entrepreneurs, they think everybody's going to be their client. And they're not very clear who their client is. So, what is a process that you take your clients through so they can actually narrow down their clients rather than being that, hey, everybody that breathes oxygen is my client, to you go, no, my client is going to be a 30 to 40-year-old male that has this challenge, that has this issue. So what's the process that you take your clients through?
So I use a certain type of questions to qualify my clients whether we are a good fit or not. More importantly, my process kind of unique because to me sales means caring. So when I talk to my clients, it's the point is, do you like my style, the way I teach, the way I coach, the way I deliver the information? This is number one, because if we are in alignment, if you feel that I am delivering the information to you in a way that helps you change your life, then we can move forward. But this is number one, because having the right coach, more important than anything else, more important than the techniques, more important than, it's critical. As a matter of fact, I do believe it's at the core of successful transition from professional corporate to entrepreneurship is to have the right coach. Now, this is number one. Number two, I have to know their age. What are they going through? I want to know their lifestyle, because my approach is holistic and I make it clear. We will address money, we'll address time, we'll address effort, we'll address your relationships, your mental well-being. We'll address everything in the journey. And more importantly, I'll walk with you in the journey. So as of now, I don't believe in recording. So I walk with them in the journey, which means they will have homeworks. They will have to do the work, and I will question it if they don't do the work. So this is how will I converse with my clients. And some of them say, okay, we are a good fit. Let's move forward. Some of them, they decide to think. Some of them said, no, it's too much stress. And my answer always is, it can be stressful, but this is the thing, you will be crystal clear about the journey. So it's kind of, do you want the stress with the clarity, or do you want just moving randomly in the journey without knowing what are you heading toward?
And I've also seen that people having a strong why, why is this important to you, as to, that will keep them on that journey, that will keep them on that path to be able to achieve the greatness that they are looking for. Would you agree with that as well?
Yes, definitely. But this is very challenging question, because the why, I found it one of the hardest thing to figure out, because it's deeper than the thought, deeper than the emotions. It's like, you can say it's the switch. If people can tap into that switch and turn it on, it will change everything. I agree, definitely. But honestly, the process of finding it, it's kind of challenging, because even when you write it down, later on you will find, no, there is something else beneath these why. So I have to find what's beneath it. So if you ask me myself, I just recently I found the why, and I found my switch. And once I found it, my journey, the actions I'm taking, the decisions I make, they become faster, they become smoother, with less stress.
And I've also discovered that as well. It's like when somebody tells you their why, it's especially if it's an external why, then that why is not strong enough. You have to dig deeper. You have to go more into the internal.
Yes.
And I've said this before. I was staffing a personal growth class once, and this one guy said, "Hey, I want to lose weight so I can put my wedding ring from my pinky finger to back to my ring finger." That was his why. And he's like, "Wow, that's," and his wife was sitting next to me, like, "Oh my God, that's such a strong why." And I said, "BS." That's not a good enough why. What's your real why? And he was taken aback, like, and then he thought for a moment, and then he said, "My real why is I want to be able to see my children graduate high school, college, and get married." I go, "That's your why, dude. The ring on your
Yes.
finger is just a result. That's not your why."
Mm-hmm.
And quite often, when people are starting businesses, they would say, "I want to be a millionaire. I want to blah blah blah. I want to all this stuff." I go, "That's BS. That's not your real why. What is your real why?" And once you dig deep enough and you find that real why, then that's going to be their motivating factor. Because I will say this, and I'm sure Iman's going to say the same thing. When you're running a business, you're going to have ups and downs. It's going to be a roller coaster ride. It's going to be, you're going to have loops. You're going to have all kinds of scary events that's going to be going on in your business. But the thing is, what are you going to do during those scary moments? What are you going to do during those lows? When you can say, "Hey, I can't pay the mortgage. I can't pay rent. I'm still stuck in my job, and I can't leave my job because I definitely want to leave it." But what is your why? And that why is what's going to keep you moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Actually, let me add this. It's I found my why is to make my personal decisions. It's to me that's so critical in my life, where I love to make my personal decision in any situation, in any circumstances, and I take full responsibility for that consequence. Once I feel I am not in charge of my decision, that becomes a strong drive for me. I said, no, I have to do something about it. And that's why I love entrepreneurship. It gives me that space where decisions are mine. The time is mine. How much I earn depends on how much effort I put into the business. Now, let me add this here, which is a technique people can use. The why in a lot of cases is beneath the sense of emptiness within. Do you know that feeling of emptiness, something I want to fill in my life? I don't know what is it, but there is a feeling of emptiness. So I'm trying to be an entrepreneur, trying this job, trying this food, trying to do something, trying to fill that emptiness. And the actions becomes random as long as we don't identify that sense of emptiness. But the moment we identify that emptiness, that why am I empty, what am I trying to fill within me, what's that space, that gap within me trying to fill, once a person identifies it, that will become the trigger of their action. That's their motivation.
Okay. And let me ask you this: as you've been working with the other clients and stuff like this, what have you seen has been some of your biggest challenges, and how did you overcome those challenges
You mean with my clients?
with you or your clients?
It's okay. So it's mainly emotions. Like this is one of the biggest challenges, and that's why part of when I'm working with people, I have to address emotions, because if emotions are not addressed, at some point they get stuck. So emotion, basically, I deal with it mainly with two ways. Okay, one is to understand that emotions have three parts to deal with them. One is expression, the other is suppression, but there is something in the middle, which is releasing emotion or processing the emotions. That's where the magic is. People tend to express or suppress, but in reality, dealing with emotion in the process, to process them, this is number one. Number two, which is used by entrepreneurs a lot, self-discipline. You do what you have to do regardless of how you feel.
Okay. Well, well, as human beings, we are all very emotional creatures, and we make a lot of sometimes irrational decisions based upon those emotions that they're experiencing at that time. Now, do you have like any kind of techniques that help people say, "Hey, disregard the emotion that you're doing, that you're feeling at this time. This is the logical next step." Do you have a process for anything like that?
Uh, let me just get your question correct. So you mean step by step to have them deal with their emotions?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So actually, I don't use this step by step to help them deal with their emotions, but I teach them to deal with their emotion directly. And as a matter of fact, uh, immediately if possible. Why? Because they will learn courage. There is a way that I can give them step by step, but what I find in the long run, if they can confront their emotions and then during that emotional turmoil, if they can become logical during the emotional turmoil, they are in charge. It changed everything. So that's what I'm after, developing logic during emotional turmoil, number one. And number two, I want them to be courageous, because courage defeat a trapped emotion. Once a person becomes logical and they have the courage to confront their emotions, they are set to go. It's hard to trap a person with such qualities, with such skills.
Okay. Oh, and I definitely can see that as a great solution because again, a lot of people make emotional decisions, and usually when they're making decisions based upon their current emotions, it's usually going to be the wrong decision.
Mhm.
But if
It's
they, if they step back and then try to look at it from a logical perspective, then they can make that next step forward.
there is a sentence I used to use it, and actually I still use it with my clients, and I find them shining once I say it, which is this: stop prioritizing your emotions over your logical thinking. Once I say it, I can see the shift immediately. That although they don't process their emotions, although they are still kind of in pain, but that changed everything, because now they become aware that, wait a second, I have emotions, I am struggling, but I can think logically. I can figure out what I can do rather than getting trapped within my emotions.
Well, and the thing that just came to my mind, an emotional response is a immediate response, where a logical response is going to be something that's going to be long term.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when people make an emotional response, that can destroy the relationship, that can destroy their business, or they can destroy, whatever that they're trying to do. But to say, hey, instead of sending that email, instead of doing that phone call, or doing that social media post, let's wait until tomorrow and do that. Let's do this from more of a logical perspective rather than an immediate emotional perspective.
Definitely, I agree 100%.
So, tell us about some of your successes, or some of your clients' successes.
So I worked with one person where he was actually she was struggling with her business and wanted to move from kind of a small office to becoming entrepreneur, to have a business. So I have to start to explain what does it mean to have a business. So I kind of made a little bit shift from talking about entrepreneurship to talk about business, and we worked for first session, and then the second session I said, like, if so first session we explained this is what does it mean to have a business. It's to have a business is different than being a freelancer, different from having only a service. It needs a completely different set of skills, completely different mindset. This number one. And the second, we addressed sales and visibility. It's so critical. I cannot emphasize this enough. Once you understand it, business, then visibility and sales, and you are set to the rest is not that hard, because then we have to address just the emotions, a little bit of shift in perspective. These are not the hard part once you understand the first three things: business, sales, and visibility.
Okay. And then let us know a little bit more about. Yeah, I love what you're sharing with with the viewers as well as the listeners. If somebody wanted to learn more about what you do, how can they get a hold of you? Do you have a Facebook page, a social media account, a landing page, or maybe you have a calendar or a website? How can somebody learn more about what it is that you do and how to possibly even work with you?
Yeah, it's you can reach me out at my website, emadaldajani.com, and there there is also a gift for people if they wish to receive it, where it's 5 steps for a predictable future. I'd be happy to have the people visit the website, and then they can schedule a session if they would like to work with me further.
Okay. It's going to be in the show notes below. It's going to be his name was Emad, E-M-A-D. His last name is spelled ALODAJANI.com. Again, that's EMAD ALODAJANI.com. And he has a 5-step process that you can download yourself. So, Emad, is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience?
Yes, I have 2 keywords before starting your entrepreneurial journey.
Okay.
Sales and understanding. Understand the journey itself, understand what you need to do, understand the money, the time, the effort, understand everything before you even start it. Number 2,
Yes.
learn to sell as soon as possible. As a matter of fact, I encourage people to learn to sell even if they don't want to become an entrepreneur, because learning how to sell will fix many of people's problem. I do truly believe it will fix relationships. It will fix their financial issue in certain ways.
That's the biggest thing. Number one, if you believe in your product or service that you're providing, you have to be able to learn how to sell that product or service that you're providing. And the thing is, you have to have confidence that your service or product is going to be life-changing, whatever problems or challenges that you're solving, learning how to sell that, your service or product. And the thing is, that is very, very critical. Now, I remember back in 1999 or 2000, I was running my first business, and there's a lot of people that were like, "Hey, I cannot sell, I cannot sell, I cannot sell," and the superior or the trainer was saying, "Why are you trying to sell me of the reason that you cannot sell?"
Wow.
So the thing is, if you say I cannot sell, and you constantly say that, you're trying to sell somebody else onto the fact that you cannot sell. So you're already selling.
Yes, definitely.
So the thing is, if you feel your product or your service is of great influence to other people, learn how to sell that product or service. Now, I don't know I don't know the procedure. Now, Imad, do you have a system or do you have a technique to help people to become better salespeople?
Definitely. Let me tell you my technique through a story I went through. One day, someone
Please.
reached me on Facebook, and she reached me out, and she said hello, and we started to chat. But I didn't present what I have. I thought, like, I don't want to push the person. And then 2 days later, she sent me a message, said, "Why didn't you care? Like, I came to you. Why didn't you sell me? Why didn't you present what you have?" That was a big surprise to me, that there are people want you to sell them. There are people, because sales means caring. And so my process is caring. When I talk to the person, it's not about pushing, but about caring. Means I'll present what I have, and more importantly, I want you to make the decision. I don't want to make the decision for you, but this is the deal. I do care. I present it in a way that makes you understand what I have, but it's for you to decide if this is a product or service you want to purchase. So this is mainly my process with people, and I would say I'm pretty much successful in this. So people, even if the sales is not converted, people leave happy because there is no pressure. There is only caring.
I like the fact that you're coming from a caring perspective rather than a salesmanship. I got to make these quotas perspective, because here's one thing that I've realized over the years. If you are providing a product or service that helps someone, and you end up not helping that person because you're afraid to quote unquote sell, then the whole issue is how long are they going to keep suffering because you were not able to provide that solution that you know this is going to work for them. Therefore, if you don't sell them, then you're cheating them.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I agree 100%. 100%. This is one of my biggest surprise, but now I understand it. When people comes to you, they come to you so you can care for them, which is in the world of business, we call it sales.
So, Emad, what's the best way for somebody to contact you? Is it through your website, or is it through? Do you have a landing page or anything like that for them to be able to contact you?
Actually, yes, my website, but I love people when they contact me directly through WhatsApp, through my number. It's the easiest and fastest way for me to answer, which is plus 64225625790. Feel free to reach me directly to my phone number.
Does not sleep, so go ahead and text him through his WhatsApp number, and therefore he will respond to you. I do know he's from Saudi Arabia. He's currently in New Zealand right now. So if you're in America, he's multiple hours ahead of you. But I do know sometimes he does sleep, so he will respond to you if you go ahead and text him through his WhatsApp number or go through his website. Again, that's at Emad, EMADALODAJNI.com. So any last words, Emad, before we go?
No, actually, thank you, and thank you for bringing the best out of me. It's my pleasure to have this interview.
Well, it's been my pleasure having you on the show today. And everybody, thank you for joining us today. Stay tuned for some of our other great episodes. And guys, until next time, be amazing.
Thanks for tuning in to another empowering episode of Business Amplified with Kevin A. Dunlap.
If you found value in today's insights, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share the podcast.
Keep amplifying your business. And remember, your success journey is our inspiration.
Until next time on Business Amplified, go out there and make your business thrive.